Yeah. Oh. Now trying to do the other face expression. Blah 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 blah.
Reduce puffiness with 2.5% hyaluronic acid and caffeine. New Revitalift Eye Serum.
Discover Nutella's limited edition jars, showcasing the beauty of Malaysia.
This is what won the community tab, and here I am making a video about it. For this tutorial, I'll be taking VTube Studio and Peer Live into account. Let's get started after this short intro. A little about me if you're new to the channel. Hi, my name is Kira Mori and what do I do again? I do Live2D tutorial videos and my most popular ones are these. And I also just made a new physics tutorial video. Please check that out if you want some. Nice. Boing boings. Here's also the outline of the video so you could get a good overview of what we are going to talk about today. Okay, first, I want to know if you've done your homework. You should know already how deformers and parameters work. If not, I'll be leaving some links in the description so you could study them. I'd also like to note that there are some features that are not available in the free version that are kind of, important for efficiency in making expressions. These are ability to assign things to more than 3 parameters and copy and pasting shape. This is the Ctrl-Shift-C and Ctrl-Shift-V shortcut. The first limitation would just require you to be very careful with the parameters that you assign to art meshes and deformers. This would also mean that you're gonna have to make more expressions that are stickers, which I'll be talking more about later. But if you'd like to have more toggle parameters where you change a facial feature, there is a workaround for the free version, but there will be a compromise. You can skip to this timestamp if you want to know more about it. Okay, let's go over to the general concepts first. I'm gonna just tell you about the general workflow. I highly recommend doing expressions last. This just saves time when it comes to rigging toggles. We'll talk more about toggles in a bit. The general workflow for creating expressions is to create the parameters or the toggles and then rig them according to the appropriate process, export the model, and then make the .exp3 files in the Live2D viewer, and then set them up in the tracking program of your choice. I won't be discussing how to set them up in Live, Live and VTube Studio since there are documentations out there. I'll leave them in the description. When you are creating a parameter, be very careful. You'd want a parameter that has a minimum value of 0 and the default value at 0 too. This just means that by default the toggle is turned off. And then the maximum value can just be 1. And alright, before we talk about toggles, I'd like you to meet my child who has agreed to be one of my test subjects for this video. Now we've got that out of the way, you've probably seen this warning. And you shouldn't worry about it too much if you have a pro license and if you're very careful. Basically, when you're making toggle parameters, you need to remember, and I mean really remember, drill it into your brain, man, like this, that the combination of your parameter values matter. To demonstrate, I have an object that is assigned to the mouth form, mouth open, and this test parameter. The test parameter's value is set at 0. This is just the default stuff. And when I move the value of the test parameter to 1, you can rig a whole new set of mouth form and mouth open combinations. Basically, when you have a toggle and there are other parameters keyed with it, so there are other parameters which have green dots besides that toggle, those parameters will be a different set depending on what value you are at the toggle. I've made a graphic that summarizes everything. Here's a little preview, and as always, the download link for the image is in the description. Alright, I hope that you kinda get how toggles work now, so take some time, absorb it, process your learnings. And just remember that only one toggle is turned on when working on a specific expression, so things won't get messed up. Now I'm gonna talk about the different types of expressions. First one is stickers. These are the easiest ones to make. Stickers is for expressions that only require something to appear. You basically just key in the opacity change. And if the sticker texture, like this eye sparkles one on my model, is under a certain deformer, you might not need to make another deformer for adjustments. Well, unless if you really want to. If you have more than one texture that you want to show in the expression and you could afford to create another deformer, I highly recommend making a big chungus parent deformer for it. And then just use that for the sticker toggle. So you won't need to click every single object and change the opacity. Again, doing this might not be advisable for those who are using the free version because of the deformer number limitation. Now, switching textures. I'd like all of you to welcome back Bo-chan! She is back with better eyes, so go say hi. Alright, when your model requires you to switch textures, you need the right timing for when things will lose their opacity, as well as deform the textures to make some movement for the transition. Here's a short clip of what I mean.
Are you missing a piece of puzzle that's holding you back from
Nope.
starting your business?
No.
Shrink.
I try to plan out the timing first before rigging, so I have a good overview of what's gonna happen and not make unnecessary mistakes. I have some materials in the description that will show you my timings for opacity and the movement for the pouting rig that Ball-chan has here. If you want the PSD and the Live2D file for Ball-chan to study expressions and stuff, let me know in the comments. I plan on putting it on Gumroad with a pay what you want option, or maybe sell it for like, I don't know, $1. Ball-chan, that's what you're worth. $1. The only thing that you need to remember is to make sure that the transition looks nice. Like, slide the parameter, look at it again and again. Think about how you will avoid showing some textures like this. You know, the inside of the note is just peeking through. And also avoid making things disappear just like this. And you could, remedy these by properly timing and having enough keyforms. The method that I am going to discuss is required for models that are going to be used in Peer Live. You should also use this method if you want to, let's say, make the eye half open and still make it blink in VTube Studio. This method is not recommended for users who have the free version because of parameter assignment limits. I'm going to be using my model as an example. The first thing that I'm gonna do is to go to the facial feature that I want to change. Let's say IR open. Then I'll be making a toggle that kind of like, makes the eye less open. I'm gonna go to the part where, you know, I find it okay, which is 0.8 on this parameter. And then I'm going to click select to make sure that all involved objects will be keyed properly. So go do that. I'm going to press Ctrl-Shift-C. Okay, I've done that. And I'm going to go to my half open toggle, assign 2 keyforms to it, press OK. And then go to this keyform where the half open toggle is activated. And then after that, I'm going to replace all of the bigger keyforms with the shape that I copied earlier. I'm going to press Ctrl, Shift, and V to paste it. And there we go. And I'm going to do the same thing with the IL open. I'm going to select, go to 0.8, press Ctrl, Shift, C, and then key it to half open, press OK. Go to the keyform where the toggle is activated, and then go back to this IL open parameter and replace the bigger keyform with the shape that I copied earlier. And as you can see, the toggle works perfectly. If you don't really need a parameter to be tracked, for example, just keep the browse in their angry form, just paste the copied keyform to all keyforms. And when you're done rigging your model and everything is nice and finished, give yourself a pat on the back because you've done a good job. So the next thing that you want to do is to export the model for runtime. Export as Mach3 file. Okay, there. Oh my god. I'm just going to export it like somewhere. And when you're done exporting, open this file. Open it real good. Expression files or .exp3 files can hold information about multiple parameters, so and when you're done rigging your model and everything is nice and finished, give yourself a pat on the back because you've done a good job. So the next thing that you want to do is to export the model for runtime. Export as Mach3 file. Okay, there. Oh my god. I'm just going to export it like somewhere. And when you're done exporting, open this file. Open it real good. Expression files or .exp3 files can hold information about multiple parameters, so you could have combinations of expressions. Let me create one first. Add expression. Then I'm gonna name it half open. Half open. Okay. And then you can just open this folder to access the expression. So here, you can select multiple parameters and make different combinations of expression. But the catch is for VTube Studio, and for those who are using the free version who wants to change their facial expressions on the model, it won't be tracked anymore. The parameter will be stuck at that value. Expression files for PRPR Live have no effect on tracked parameters. Even if you change IOpen like this, if you make IOpen like that, nothing will happen in PRPR Live. It has no power there. And now when you have multiple toggles, which are these, make sure that you want to set the toggles you want inactive to 0. So I just want the half open to be active and all the others here is inactive, okay? This just makes sure that the model doesn't get messed up when the expressions are accidentally activated at the same time. When you are done, just export all of the expression files, and then I'll also save the model3.json file thing just to be safe. I've left links in the description for the things that you need to set up the expression files in the programs that you're going to use. Alright, we're done! Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope that you learned something. I'd also like to give a big shout out to these wonderful people right here. Thank you very much for becoming a member of my channel.
Hello, my beautiful, wonderful gems. Today we are going to learn how to make emotes for Live2D Cubism. How do we set those emotes up so that they're ready to go in VTube Studio? I am going to be using VTube Studio for this particular video. Amazing. So I'm going to assume that you have figured out your other stuff for rigging your 2D VTuber. If you have not, I do have a full YouTube series on this channel that you can check out for rigging a half-body VTuber. But other than that, this is how you do emotes. You can add them at any time. So it does not matter where your specific emote is once you have it set up in your Photoshop file. So before you bring the Photoshop file into Live2D itself, it does not matter where the mark is as long as you make sure that it is on top if that's where it needs to be for your drawing order. So I have this on layer 605, which means it's at the top. The reason you can't see it right now is because I have it turned off, so we're gonna turn that back on. So see right here, I have an expression under the expressions folder, which I created myself by clicking the new folder button here. This is just to keep all my expressions organized, but what we'll do is I'm just gonna clear out this, for example, the angry expression mark, and we're gonna say yes. So I'm just gonna start completely from scratch so you can see how we're gonna do this. So the first thing you'll want to do is go ahead and click new parameter down at the bottom here. Then you'll type in whatever name that you want that's appropriate to the thing. We're gonna call this angry Saya mark, and like I I said if you're using VTube Studio, you want to make sure that it says param, whatever the name of your parameter is. If there's spaces in the name up here, that's okay. You actually cannot put spaces in the ID. It won't let you. It will say invalid ID. So it's okay if it's together as long as it says the param and then the name up here. So that's very, very important for you to do. So make sure you check that. Next, I'm just going to we want to pretend that we have 0. Pretend 0 means off and maximum is going to be 1 for on. So it's like flipping a light switch. Like 0 is turning the lights off and 1 is turning the lights back on. And the default is wherever you want it to start. So this is going to be different depending on the emote or thing that you are showing and depending on the technique that you're using. So we actually want it to start with the angry mark always being off. So we do want the default to be 0. If it was 1, the angry mark would always be showing or would be showing right away, which we do not want. So we're just going to click 0 for that. It should go down at the bottom, then you'll see it here. I'm just going to move it into my expressions folder. This is not a requirement. You can leave it wherever you need to. I just have this for organization purposes. Next, what we're going to do is for expressions, this is a very common method. There's other ways you can do it, but is just by doing a simple opacity shift. So what we will do is we're going to drop 2 points because like I said, we have 0, which means off, and we have 1, which means on. So the left side is going to be turning the light switch off, and the right side is going to be turning the light switch on. So the way this works, again, parameters basically mean if this point is here, I want it to do blank thing. If this point is over here on this green dot, I want it to do this or that. That's how this works. So what we'll do then is we already have 1.0 has the angry mark on. We are going to go ahead and right click snap to the far left point, and then we're just going to change to I just make sure that it says param, whatever the name of your parameter is. If there's spaces in the name up here, that's okay. You actually cannot put spaces in the ID. It won't let you. It will say invalid ID. So it's okay if it's together as long as it says the param and then the name up here. So that's very, very important for you to do. So make sure you check that. Next, I'm just going to we want to pretend that we have 0. Pretend 0 means off and maximum is going to be 1 for on. So it's like flipping a light switch. Like 0 is turning the lights. Just go ahead and click new parameter down at the bottom here. Then you'll type in whatever name that you want that's appropriate to the thing. We're going to call this angry Saya mark. And like I said, if you're using VTube Studio, you want to make sure that it says param, whatever the name of your parameter is. If there's spaces in the name up here, that's okay. You actually cannot put spaces in the ID. It won't let you. It will say invalid ID. So it's okay if it's together as long as it says the param and then the name up here. So that's very, very important for you to do. So make sure you check that. Next, I'm just going to we want to pretend that we have 0. Pretend 0 means off and maximum is going to be 1 for on. So it's like flipping a light switch. Like 0 is turning the lights off and 1 is turning the lights back on. And the default is wherever you want it to start. So this is going to be different depending on the emote or thing that you are showing and depending on the technique that you're using. So we actually want it to start with the angry mark always being off. So we do want the default to be 0. If it was 1, the angry mark would always be showing or would be showing right away, which we do not want. So we're just going to click 0 for that. It should go down at the bottom, then you'll see it here. I'm just going to move it into my expressions folder. This is not a requirement. You can leave it wherever you need to. I just have this for organization purposes. Next, what we're going to do is for expressions, this is a very common method. There's other ways you can do it, but is just by doing a simple opacity shift. So what we will do is we're going to drop 2 points because like I said, we have 0, which means off, and we have 1, which means on. So the left side is going to be turning the light switch off, and the right side is going to be turning the light switch on. So the way this works, again, parameters basically mean if this point is here, I want it to do blank thing. If this point is over here on this green dot, I want it to do this or that. That's how this works. So what we'll do then is we already have 1.0 has the angry mark on. We are going to go ahead and right click snap to the far left point, and then we're just going to change our opacity to 0%. Sorry, that was my PC. So 0. So now as you see, when we switch this back and forth, you can see it turning on and off. I did the same thing here with my blush emote as well. Same exact concept. I just did it for the blush layer. Same for these constellations. This is another thing as well. So we'll turn that both back off. And then for happy closed, if you wanted to do like a closed eye expression, this is just a little bit of a bonus tip for you, is you could have it where the eyes, brings your closed eyes in. So if you drew those on their own separate layer, like these closed eyes are different than the main eyes. And then you can have an eyes hide. So then it turns off the eyes here, as you can see. Then I'll explain to you later how you can sort of double something up like that in a bit. You would want to have one that turns off your main eyes, and you would want to have one that would show the new eyes. So you see now if I turn them both off, her eyes are missing. And then in this case, we would just right click edit parameter, and the default would be 1 instead, because we don't want her eyes. We do not want her to go into VTube Studio with her eyes turned off, because if we had this set to 0, she would spawn into VTube Studio with her eyes off. So that's why the default is very important depending on the technique you're using and what you're trying to do utilizing the expressions key technique. You can do expression keys for a lot of different things. Like here, I did one for scared eyes if I wanted her to look scared just by shrinking her pupils. So then this is an on and off thing too. And don't worry about it in Live2D because you can combine these expressions later, like together. That's something that you would do outside of Live2D. So for example, if we wanted like angry mark plus her looking with her eye pupils, that's something we do outside of Live2D. So you don't have to worry about that. And then one more thing I want to talk about before we hop into VTube Studio itself is this is another great technique you can use for your clothes. So like I have a sweater toggle here. So if you want to do any type of clothing toggle, if you have multiple outfit designs in mind, this is a great thing you can do as well. So again, you would want your default, I'm just right clicking edit parameter. You want your default set to whatever you want the main thing to be. I want her sweater to be on because that's her main outfit. So the default is 1, not 0. Because if it was 0, it would automatically have her sweater off already. I don't want that. So again, if I switch this back and forth now, we'd be able to toggle her sweater. And you do want to make sure you rig everything up because you won't see it when it's off. It'll turn everything off, but you want to make sure that the sweater's rigged, because if the sweater's not rigged and she's like turning to the left and right, then obviously that's going to be a problem. So do make sure those things are rigged as well. So I'm going to assume that you already know how to export your file for VTube Studio. If you do not know how to export your file for VTube Studio, I will leave a card above. I have a video that shows you exactly how to bring your model over into VTube Studio. You can check that one out and then come back here when you are done. So I'm just assuming you already know how to put your model into VTube Studio. Make sure you put the updated model file if you have an old one in there because you're testing it. You want to make sure you have all that. Okay, awesome. So next we're just going to load our model in. So I'm going to bring one of my ones that I had in. And then next, what I'm going to do is go to settings, this little button up here, the little movie clip symbol. So next, after we click on the little clip movie up there, we'll click expression editor. So this is a new feature VTube Studio recently added. This was not always a thing. And then we will do create a new expression, and then you'll select that. And this is going to show you all the parameters that exist within your model. So you should see the one we created earlier show up here. So angry expression mark was the one that we created earlier. So let's do do an example of this. We'll slide this on, and this is saying this is at 0 right now. Remember, 0 is when we had it turned off. So now we're just gonna flip the switch on, and then you are going to name your expression after that. So we'll just call this Angry Saya 2. I'm just calling it 2 because I already have one on this file. And then we will click save, and it should be in our list of expressions here now. You should see it showing up. After that, you can cancel out, and we will go down. We will click the plus button to add a new hotkey action, and we'll click hotkey action, do set/unset expression right here. We'll select that, and then we'll click on expression, and you can choose the one that we just made Angry Saya 2. So they should show up here for you if you have made them. We'll select Angry Saya 2, select. Key combination is going to be whatever you want to click to make it show up. So I'm just going to click V. You can do numbers, you can do anything else that you wanted to. You could even really hook this up to your Stream Deck at some point if you wanted to. And that is the combination. So then when I click V on I'm clicking V on my keyboard right now, you see how it fades in and out. So there we go. Now we have an expression. So that's really, really fantastic. I had set some other ones up already too. So you can combine them. Like I just clicked number 2 to bring my blush in, and then I can click V. So again, you can combine. There is like, that's the everything's fine face combined with the blush combined. So you can have things turn on multiple times to combine it. So something else I would like to show you as well here is that you can have 2 at the same time. So remember when we did expression editor, you can create a new expression that has a combo of things that you've done. So say I don't want to click 2 keys at once. Say I want the blush turning on, we'll turn that to 1. We want the constellations turning on, and we want the scared eyes turning on like this. So I just want this whole thing. I want this whole thing to be one thing. I don't want it to click multiple keys. Okay, we can call this scared blush, and then we'll save that one as well. And now it should be in our expressions. You can click cancel out of there, and then we'll go to plus again, and we just do the same thing. Hotkey action, set, unset expression, and then you can select, go to expression and select the one we just named. So we did scared blush. And then let's choose a key. I'm just going to choose
Ah, 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 ah. Okay, I think that's all because I done unexpected so fast can done. So I will go for next stream. I think so. But thanks, guys. Bye. I will make a playlist for these few things. Okay.